Hey cutie. I am so excited. I have been kicking around this idea for a while. I thought about doing monthly makeup, like most used makeup for each month, but I think that would just feel really rushed and not actually show much tangible usage and like actually show what I'm gravitating towards for like a season. So I kind of have been gathering together all of the items and keeping track of every single item that I've used over the course of the past 3 months. If you don't know, I'm very extra and I write down every single day. I write down what makeup I wear for that day in my it's like a little makeup journal. So if I ever want to maybe recreate a look or anything like that, I can dive into one of my makeup journals. I have one from last year. I have started this one for this year, and I've tallied through the past 3 months, and I have actually identified what my most used makeup in every single category is. I'm a little surprised because some things that are the most used aren't necessarily favorites that I would deem as favorites in my collection. A lot of them are, don't get me wrong, but there are a couple that the usage is high because we were trying to get things out of the collection. So if you are interested in seeing makeup usage, things like that, just stick around, maybe hit the subscribe button. I am posting every day for the next 7 days. It's my March Makeup Madness week. So you'll be seeing a lot of content from me for the next week. And yeah, let's just get into my most used makeup for the past quarter. Kicking off with primers, I actually used 6 primers within the past couple months, and my 2 standouts are going to be these 2 primers here. First, this is the most used by far primer that I have. I ended up using this Bare Minerals Original Prime Time Pore Minimizing Primer. I just spoke about this in a different project in my Plan to Pan, and I didn't really like this at all. I really enjoyed this more when it was in its previous package. I don't know if they've reformulated this, but it just wasn't really the same. It didn't have that like nice pore filling feel, like silicone-y feel that this used to have. So if you don't like that silicone-y feel, I feel like maybe you would like this. It's definitely not like the Benefit Professional or any other pore filling primer I've used recently, but this is just, it kind of missed the mark for me. But I did end up using this 22 times. This was my second used, I'm sorry, because I was planning on finishing this. And the next one that I kind of switched my focus was another one that I was trying to finish. And that is my Wet n Wild Glass Correct primer in the green shade. And again, this is another one that I cut open and scooped every bit I could out. I'm actually still continuing to use this right now. It's living in this packaging here, and I've been using this for like the past 2 weeks straight, and I still have at least another week and a half of product left in here because I don't need a whole lot. I really enjoy this primer. I can see myself repurchasing this Wet n Wild Glass Correct primer. I think that this is absolutely so nice. It doesn't really do much in terms of color correcting, but it does leave a really nice glass-like effect on the skin. So I really have enjoyed this. It's already in my Ulta cart, like, so when I'm ready to purchase from Ulta, I can just purchase another one of these because I really liked this. Moving over to foundations next, I actually ended up using 4 foundations in the past 3 months, and my standout is the one that's been in my deck of panning project. So you've heard me talk about it quite a lot now, and that is this guy here. This is not the original packaging. This is the Bare Minerals Original Liquid Mineral Foundation, and mine is in the shade Golden Fair. I've used a decent amount since January. I should mark this for the next like check-in for this product or for this most used makeup thing, but I have been focusing on this in my deck of panning project. I'm just not really gravitating towards foundation. I almost use this as like a concealer mix in because I'm really not wearing foundation all over my face anymore. But that's that guy. Then moving over to concealers, there is one real standout, but I want to talk about 2 just because I did make a ton of progress in it, and I would actually be using it if I hadn't finished it. So I did reach for these 2 over the past 2 or 3 months the most. First was the NARS Eye Brightener in the shade GoldenEye. Only reason I stopped using this was because I finished it. If I had not finished it, this would be something that I would be continuing to use because it was just so nice. I don't purchase from NARS. I won't purchase from NARS moving forward because they do test on animals still, to my knowledge. So they are not a cruelty-free brand. So I fell into the hype wanting to have a color corrector and purchase this one, and I'm really happy that I did see this out of my collection. This was with me for like a year, so I'm really happy that I made as much progress in it as I did. The next concealer is the one that I've been reaching for day in, day out now. It is my darkest concealer by far. This is the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye in the shade Medium. Man, is this like the concealer that never stops. You don't need a lot of this when you use it. And again, this color is just a little off, so I like to mix it with my Golden Fair just to create, this has a little bit more gold warm tones in it, and this is a little more cool and pink, so it doesn't really match my skin tone the best as is, so I do really like it mixed with this. But this guy I've used 24 times. Moving over to cream cheeks, I have my standout, my superstar products. There is one that is deeply in my, well, two of them are actually in my plan to pan, and then one is just kind of the one I've been reaching for out of them. So I lumped all of my cream cheeks, blush, bronzer, and highlight kind of in one category, and I ended up using 8 of my cream cheek products. I have 9 in total in my collection, so I used a fair share of them. There was only one cream blush that I didn't reach for in the past 3 months, so I'm making pretty good progress in my cream products. The one that I haven't reached for is definitely more of like a summer autumn shade to me, so I am not worried that I won't reach for it at all this year. But I do have some focus products that I clearly have been reaching for, and they're these little trio right here. This guy is in my plan to pan. This is the Velvet Contour Stick by LA Girl. This is something that I want to try to finish up, but man, is this going to take forever. But I am really happy that I have actually used this the most out of all of my cream blushes. The one that I want to pan this year is the one that I'm actually focusing the most time on. Any amount of use in these is a great amount of use in my opinion right now. The other one in my plan to pan is my Fenty Beauty Liquid Kilowatt in the shade Side Chick. I made actually a nice amount of progress, not enough to make any difference. I've used this 4 times. This is just my only cream liquid highlight, so of course that's my most used one. I do have 2 cream bronzers, and I have definitely used this one the most out of them, which isn't saying much because I've only reached for this one 4 times. The other one in my collection I've reached for 2 times. But this is the Baby Got Bronze by Essence. This is just a really cool toned contour stick, so if you're looking for something cool toned, I definitely think you would like this. My most used by far is going to be my Franken powder, which is currently living in this Cover FX packaging. This is a mixture of my Laura Mercier translucent blotting powder, the Makeup Revolution translucent baking powder, and the JCat Pearl Luminizer powder. I've cocktailed them all into this, and that is what I use to set my under eyes and T-zone on my face. I love the look of it. It's just kind of like a finishing powder from Hourglass, but on a heck of a budget. The most used after my Franken powder is actually a powder that I was working on, again, in my Deck of Panning project, but I actually was working on this before I had rolled it into that project, and just the bonus was to roll it into that project to track the uses on it. And clearly we hit a gigantic pan within that project, so I'm really happy, and the usage clearly shows that I reached for this a heck of a lot over the past 3 months. Moving along on my powder categories, we have bronzer next. I actually used 5 bronzers. I think I only have like 5 or 6 bronzers in my collection now. I used to have a lot less. I bought a few from Shop Miss A if you missed that try-on haul. But my most used bronzer by far, and I definitely have leaned towards this one, is this Body Shop Coconut Bronze Matte Cocoa in Medium 3. I've really just been trying to expand the pan on this side to kind of make it I want to have the ring show on this side as well. Blush is another category where I feel like I've actually reached for a lot. I've actually spread the love in my blushes a lot. I've been really having fun just gravitating towards different ones for whatever the look depends on. I've really just enjoyed reaching for different blushes. So I have reached for 11 different blushes throughout the course of the past 3 months, but there are 3 standout products. So there's one that I've used 11 times and that definitely tracks. I did for sure use Luminary a lot. Like I remember reaching for this shade quite a bit, especially in the cooler months because it is a little bit more cool toned of a blush. That is the shade Luminary. It's a little bit deeper mauve-y kind of blush. After that, I'm happy to say my focus definitely went to Afterglow, which was in my plan to pan, and that is this guy here. This is a much more neutral, wearable, everyday blush. This is actually the blush I'm wearing today. On camera, I feel like it looks a little bit more peachy. It really does pull more neutral onto my skin. It just looks really, really beautiful. And now that I'm saying that, yeah, that does look a little still cooler. So I have really enjoyed Afterglow. I thought that I was reaching towards a different one, but maybe that was only for like a certain chunk of time. I've reached for this one 8 times. So this was my second most used blush. And tied for that second most used was another one that I reached for 8 times. It's this guy here. This is a Colourpop and Sailor Moon collab. This I wore a lot in February. I remember reaching for this quite a lot in February. So that does make sense that it was one of my most used blushes. And it's definitely the most cool toned and like bubblegum pink of the blushes. So the most kind of out there shade, but like we were really versatile in the different tones that we reached for in the past 3 months. Then highlight is very, very similar. I know I mentioned this in a few videos, but I have also just been naturally gravitating towards my Ofra highlight, and it shows. Each of these were my most used highlight within the past 3 months. I did reach for 20 different highlights in my collection, which is humongous. I was really trying to fluctuate through all of them within the past 3 months, at least as much as I could. I really focused heavily on my Kaleidos highlights to just use all of those and then just spread the love elsewhere. But I used this so often. I ended up using Rodeo Drive the most. That was 23 uses, followed by Pillow Talk, 21 uses, and then Blissful over here, which makes sense, 14 uses. That is the deepest, and it doesn't fit me the most all year round, so the deepest shade, I use that the least. After powder products, I will set my face, so that's just kind of the order of application I have is my setting sprays next. I reached for my Mario Badescu setting sprays the most, but I am happy to say that I reached for every single setting spray that I own throughout the course of the past 3 months. I own 4, so it's not like it's challenging to reach for them all, but I did have to peel my use away from these to try and use other ones. So my most used was the green aloe one, and that's really because I finished this one and just swung all of my focus into the Mario Badescu green tea, cucumber, and aloe spray. This one I used 19 times. Before that, I was using the coconut adaptogens one, and I used this 17 times within the past month. So definitely use these the most. Next, we move on to my lip products, and I have this separated into my different categories: lip liner, lipsticks, and lip glosses. Starting with lip liners, I actually ended up using 8 different lip liners. I haven't calculated how many lip liners I have now that I've brought some in from AOA. 3 standouts, 1 main one that I used, and then 2 that I used the same amount of times. But I ended up, like, we have a theme. Like, she's pretty neutral when it comes to lip liners. So my most used was definitely the Colourpop BFF3 Lippy Pencil, and this is a dark brown lip liner. Just a nice deep brown. Then these 2 I actually used 5 times each. I have the Kiko Milano in the shade 316, and then I have Buxom in Savvy Sienna. So that Kiko one, I want to say I used mostly in February. Just like a nice berry-ish kind of shade. And then the Buxom one, These Buxom ones have detached from the packaging, so I really want to finish those too. Oop, I put those right on top of each other, didn't I? Moving over to lipsticks, I ended up using 6 different lipstick colors over the past 3 months. I definitely need to do a little bit better with this section. These two I reached for the most. They're 2 Hourglass ones, and I'm actually really happy that I reached for my Hourglass ones the most because they're the most expensive in my collection. So my number one was actually the one that was in a project earlier this year. This is the shade Lotus. It's a very bright watermelon coral kind of shade. Really, really bright. Honestly, if I wear it full on, it almost looks neon on the lips. Then the one that I like to wear the most is actually Alpine. It's just this nice nude neutral shade. That guy there. Really, really beautiful. Could have worn it. Then moving over to lip glosses, I ended up using 15 different lip glosses in the course of the past 3 months. I tend to be able to use and go through lip gloss fairly quickly, and I say fairly quickly. It's not like I'm plowing through a lip gloss a month, but I am making pretty good progress on my lip glosses. I actually don't have my most used lip gloss in front of me. It's somewhere in my house. It's probably like down in the basement. Josh has a headache, so he's taking a nap in our basement right now. So it's probably down there or in the laundry being washed. So I'll find it in a little bit. But they're both Kopari lip glossies. So the first one I use the most is actually not the one here. It's the birthday suit one, which is just the nude one. I had it yesterday. It's like in a jacket pocket or somewhere in the house. Then this is the another one that I was using the most. I'm actually not tracking this one, but I know this is my other most used based on like how much is gone now that I've started using it. This is the shade Sunset Kiss. This was part of a package from last year. I'm currently trying to just use and make as much progress through my Kopari lip glossies so I can buy more Kopari lip glossies. But that is it for my most used makeup for the past 3 months for my Q1. I feel like a lot of these actually are true favorite products of mine, and nothing is really like, I don't agree with that. I wouldn't say I really love that. Something that really grew on me, though, was this shade Lotus. I did not like this at all when I had first started working on it and using this. I was like, man, did I make a mistake? I spent like $30 on this freaking lipstick and I don't even like it, and what a bummer this is. And it's really become one of my favorite products now. So it just goes to show sometimes you really do need to try and figure out a product to make it work for you. And sometimes it really does take a little bit more than 10 uses to really appreciate a product and understand how you get to use it and make it work for you. Thank you guys again for sticking with me for another day in March Makeup Madness week. I hope you guys are staying healthy, sane, and safe, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!